Well, next up is the big one, Central Division, and that is brought to us by none other than 7th Avenue Pizza. Let me just pull that one up here quick.
And again, Urban in the live chat here saying the reason Hughes being a captain is laughable because he needs size and intimidation, and Hughes is too small. Hey, I would have been fine if they brought in Ryan Reeves and gave him the C2, but again, I'm not too upset.
Well, they might be able to. Isn't he going to get waived?
I've not heard that, but if so, well, my hatred for Toronto will get even bigger because the disrespect for Reeves. My goodness,
just the slander,
the absolute slander. All right, Hoppy, let's get to it.
All right. Here we have the outcome of the Central Division. As you can see with the tie at first, the Dallas Stars and the Colorado Avalanche. I definitely had to put Dallas first just because Colorado fans will absolutely lose it before they see that they're both won. The Minnesota Wild came in at 3 almost unanimously. Nashville Predators at 4. Arizona Coyotes, Saudi-backed Arizona Coyotes at 5, tied with the St. Louis Blues. And again, for the same reason, that they'll lose their minds with them at the second spot. They're looking like they're 6. 7th is the Winnipeg Jets. 8th, Chicago Blackhawks. I'm going to lead with Z because I know he's got thoughts on at least one of these.
Well, I mean, first of all, I keep forgetting that Colorado gave Miles Woods 6 years. I keep forgetting about that. Now, that being said, I could see him being a very good player for them just with how fast he plays. When he's at his best, he can give you 20 goals, 20 assists. But the 6 year, it blows my mind. And then just a couple other fun ones, like bringing in Drouin to play with McKinnon, potentially, we'll see. But I feel like Rantanen just had the quietest, absurd year ever. I mentioned halfway through the year, I was just going through. Obviously, Landeskog was out, McKinnon was out at that point, Makar was out, and Mikko Rantanen was just putting up 3-4 points every single game, scoring game-winning goals late in games. He is unbelievable. But I mean, it's interesting though because while the Drouin thing, that's fun. The Tatar, I can't believe they got Tatar for a 1 year, whatever, what was it, 1 million, 1.5.
He was supposed to go to Pittsburgh.
He's so good too. And then the reclamation project for Ryan Johansson. I mean, he had another good year 2 years ago. This past year was 50-50, but I'm just overall just get intrigued. I'll see if Nichushkin can just play the full year. I can see him being a beast yet again. And obviously just on the back end, you've got Cale Makar doing his thing. Devon Taves, unbelievable. I have a feeling Bowen Byram's going to have a monster year too. So they literally just have scoring up and down the lineup, which is why I put them first still, although I was very tempted to throw Dallas over them. I just have those two teams kind of in their own tier really. And then the fight for third and fourth is where it gets a little bit closer for me. But and then obviously the fun one that we'll somehow now finally all want to tune in potentially to the Arizona Coyotes. We'll see what happens with Logan Cooley and a bunch more of those young guys. So that's actually, it's just weird that I'll be making sure that I will be watching the Arizona Coyotes. I don't think I've ever said that in my life. So very excited to see those games. The University of Arizona Coyotes. And then the Blackhawks. I mean, that's just the weirdest group of players I've ever seen in my life. I told you this, Hoppy, a couple of days. I keep forgetting that Corey Perry's there now. It smells just
right.
There's so much too.
Let's get Bedard some help. I know what we should do. Let's go get him Corey Perry. It's so funny. So
former 50 goal scorer, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. But yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go.
I really thought that you were going to be more upset about the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, I like what they did. The haul they got for for Dubois, I think like addressed a few different areas for them too. And it sounds, we'll see what happens obviously with like Scheifele and Hellebuck, but like even if they're on their way out, they're still two solid players that are going to be massive pieces, and they're still very good players. So I thought they improved overall. We'll see if Bonus just decides to randomly carve them like at all times. Still the most insane like postseason press conference, just calling his whole team gutless.
Fucking jellyfish.
That's the most psychotic thing I've ever seen. I hate them personally. My leaders, bad guys, hate them all. We'll see what happens there. But I was initially planning on putting them a lot lower than I have them. But then as I just like started building out the lines in my head with the with what they got back for Dubois, I started liking them more and more, and liking them more than some of the other guys or the other teams that I put them ahead of. So
Dude,
that's where I
Bonus gave me vibes of that Swiss coach a few years in the World Juniors. They're like going up against Canada in like the round robin. They're like, so how do you feel about your chances against Canada? He's like, oh, they do everything better. They skate faster. They're stronger. They hit better. They score more. And then it was like silence. It was like, is that what you're going to tell your team? I actually have the soundboard here. He's like,
exactly that. And
we tried to fight against. And he's like, what do you want me to say? They have like 7 first rounders. All the rest are in the second round. And they're only 4th rounder. Victor Mete had the most NHL games. We have 1 4th rounder. 1.
That was the
amazing.
best. He was like, I mean, we're just hoping to keep him under 10. We're just going to try to keep this single digits.
Did you feel any pressure? He's like, pressure? I don't even know what that word means.
It's like that's like the Jim Mora playoffs rant where he's like, we couldn't run, we couldn't stop the run, we couldn't defend the pass, we couldn't get a first down, couldn't do diddly poo against anybody.
Damn.
Yeah, we need more interviews. We need more just honest coaches before games like that.
Unhinged coach interviews are the best.
Yeah.
We're just gonna try to get out here healthy. We're just gonna try to leave with no injuries. I don't know.
Yeah, who's gonna be the post game guy this year with no more Sutter?
Oh
Yeah, that's true.
And no
Like,
Babcock.
Torts knows that there's like nothing going on there, right? Like he can't be that unhinged this year when they're basically projected to be horrible.
He's already at it. He already started, dude. He was like, first group, I thought it was great. Second group, they sucked. They were terrible. And they're like, what happened? He was like, they suck. Like,
They're terrible.
Shit, dude, it's
That's it.
preseason. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Ruby's got a little bit of that in him.
He intimidates the hell out of me. I don't know why. Every press conference I get, it's just his stare, maybe. I don't know. Something about him.
I still think he's in my like top 3 for coaches that I would pick to win a fight.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a couple of those. Guy Boucher, when he was in the league, he probably could fuck some shit up too. He was a scary guy.
That's Scar. Just going like,
Right?
Anyone with a scar just wins.
He's straight up like the Mufasa of the NHL coaches. Or not Mufasa, Scar. Of course, Mufasa's brother.
Yeah.
By the way, shout out to Sean Butcher for the $2 donation here. The peanut butter man himself.
Mufasa.
He's the Mufasa.
Stop it. He's going to clip that now.
This is incredible.
Ginger carrot, baby.
All right, we just got to move on here. Here are everyone's individual picks. Again, brought to you by 7th Avenue Pizza. Follow them at 7th Avenue Pizza on X, Twitter, whatever Elon wants to call it next. They've got deals going every week, whether it's BOGO, $7 pizzas, whatever. Follow them, get the best. I'm actually eating the special right now. It is delicious.
Mateo owes me one because he lost a bet with me over the weekend. Super Lex, the best Muay Thai fighter ever. Mateo.
I'm so happy
Told
for
you.
you.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
I'll say I'm with Z on the Jets, but that's only because it sounds like there's at least a 50-50 chance that they keep Hellebuck and maybe even Scheifele. If those two are gone, different story. It's over. But with the trade that was made for Dubois, like I do think they're a better team than they were last year, and they were feisty all the way through. Like, I don't know. That's a team that I think could easily have the biggest swing possibility here, being like as high as second or third and as low as last, just depending on how things shape out.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. I don't think they're going to be at the bottom. For me, it's like the Jets, Blues, and Preds are kind of all interchangeable, especially like where I have them listed. It's like they could play musical chairs all season, and I wouldn't be surprised if that any of them fell into that range when the season's done. So I basically have Colorado, Dallas, and the Wild at the top, and yeah, right under them is that tier of like the Preds, Blues, and the Jets. I think Arizona doesn't have a chance. I think Chicago, even with the savior Bedard, like it doesn't have enough troops around him. That team doesn't have enough depth to really just rely on the kids. So,
Jessi, why do you hate the Minnesota Wild?
I knew that was coming. You're lucky I put them at 4. I could have put them at 5. I really don't have that much confidence in the team. I never do, though. I put the bar at the bottom every single year for this team just so they can jump over it for me. So I don't know. They'll be fine. It's not going to be a easy early playoff bound season. I think it'll come down to the wire like it used to, and they'll be waiting for 1 or 2 points or 1 or 2 teams to lose it. I don't know why. I still question why I'm always so high on Nashville in preseason. Every year, this is like the 3rd straight year. I'm like,
me too.
Oh, this is it. This is the Preds. They made their moves. They did things like Ryan O'Reilly doesn't really do that much for me, but for some reason, I think it's just because I love Barry Trotz. I'm excited what Bruno could do. I just think eventually they'll figure it out. Like, again, on paper, I feel like Nashville looks like they should be a pretty solid team. And I like it a little bit better than what the Wild have on paper in some areas. But yeah, that's why I just like to keep Wild fans guessing.
I'm sure it's getting worse now that you have Kirsten on with you too, who is the very uncloseted Nashville fan, and I'm still a little conflicted on that.
Exactly.
Yeah, Urban's saying Nashville's his dark horse of the year as well.
Fair.
Stoned State Gaming. Oh yeah, Thomas Vokoun. What a G. Absolutely loved him. And Urban loved the Ryan O'Reilly signing for Nashville as well.
Yeah, like I like it, but it's not. He's old. He's got the championship pedigree, obviously, right? But he's also old for all intents and purposes. So that's where it could go.
Too old.
He's just too old. Old balls, gross. Like
for me, the Predators, the reason that I'm lower on them is because I'm sorry, Wild fans, I do not believe in Andrew Brunette. I don't. Now, having Barry Trotz to work with, maybe that changes things, but what he did when he took over the Florida Panthers was pathetic, in my opinion. He basically copy and pasted what he got left behind from that scumbag Quenneville. And the second that he was met with adversity and couldn't win games 7-6, he had zero room to make adjustments, change nothing. Kind of a Dean Evison thing, except, with a very high-powered offense. So, I don't know.
Better team.
I hope he proves me wrong, because I do want him to succeed. I also want him to stay off the golf course, but otherwise, I don't know. I just don't really believe in them.
He doesn't have like the same, like, obviously it worked when he was in Florida because the level of play, like who he had down there. And like, he obviously just doesn't have the same type of roster to do that. And I said this at the time too, like the last GM I would have expected to hire a coach who like approaches the game like Andrew Burnett would be like a Barry Trotz, who his like whole MO is like, it's like boring Islander hockey when he was there. Like that's his MO forever. So it's just like a very interesting, it feels like it's like going against each one, like how they're like just their overall mindset to the game. So it's just like, I like their defense. Obviously Saros is one of the best goaltenders on the planet. And like, he's got a couple of guys up front that can still bring it, obviously. So I think they're going to be in a whole lot of games. But again, like Burnett just doesn't have the level of players or like the type of players that he can play like the same way that they did in Florida. So it's going to be fascinating to see like just how they play with those players and with a coach with that mindset too. Like, I feel like he would have been, obviously, like Bednar wasn't going anywhere, but like a team like Colorado, he would have been, or New Jersey last year, like where he was being assistant coach too. Like he just has like the whole different roster of players. I'm very curious to see how he, like what they look like with him.
You know what?
Players.
I feel like Trotz though probably looks and he's like, who's out there that it's reasonable for people to believe that I would make them a head coach, but I can make them my bitch. They're my puppet.
He's the puppet. I was just gonna say, Hoppy. That's kind of what I see too. Like he can very easily control Bruno, sort of like Guerin can with Dean. It seems a little bit here too. So I think that's an exact comparison.
Seth, why are the Coyotes going to make the playoffs?
I believe in what they are building, and I think with how much of a pain in the ass they were to play against last year, if they're even in the conversation for a wild card spot by the trade deadline, they have, 6 million draft picks to where they could go out and get somebody, which is why I think they'll be the ones to get Connor Hellebuck this year if the Jets fall out of it.
Oh, there you go.
And if they were to get a goalie like that to pair up with that young offense, I think they're going to be a problem. Maybe not a team that can make any sort of, deep run to the Stanley Cup final, but a team that could sneak into a playoff spot and kind of accelerate their window a little bit faster than you would assume that they would.
You're just a huge Matt Dumba fan.
Well, I was going to say, you are aware that they have the loser, Matt Dumba, according to all of Wild Twitter.
Matt Dumba, Jason Zucker,
Nick Bukestad, he's back.
Minnesota West.
Oh,
Yep.
Community
can we get
and
people to
technical
chant
college.
Wild rejects when they come in, kind of like the Gophers when St. Cloud comes into town?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Or they could misspell all of the players' names when they welcome them back and just really insult them like that. That's it's always nice. Or just skip over them like they did with Eric Stahl. Like just
that's
completely
funny.
forget.
Yeah.
It's
See, I disagree with you though, Seth. I think their goaltending is actually like sneaky good. I think they just need to add like 2 or 3 real life defensemen with a pulse.
Yeah.
And then they'd actually be like, I would probably have them at 3 or 4.
Slightly above replacement level defensemen, which is they're not even at that level. Sorry. Matt
Their
Dumba.
forward group's going to be so fun though.
I know. That's why I think if they can lean on that offense a little bit, they should be a team that at least makes it difficult for their opponents. So why not? Why not buy the hype? If a Minnesota team is not going to be able to live up to the hype and the expectations, why not buy into somebody else?
Isha, Z,
Thank
why
you,
are they
Vikings.
going to be bad?
Z.
I still just think the other team. It's not even like necessarily anything other than like I just think the other teams are still better. Like they have a bunch of young kids that should be fun. And I think, like you guys said, I like having guys like Sean Durzi. I thought was an awesome ad. Obviously, Jason Zucker's be great. Matt Dumba. They did a good job of adding NHL experience, fused in with like a bunch of high end young players, obviously, who are all like legit. I still just have more belief in the other teams, so that's the only reason. I did want to. I was flirting with putting them above Nashville, but I still just couldn't do it. Just like I just still believe in those established players in Nashville as well as a guy like UC Saros. If there was one change I would have made is maybe probably putting St. Louis one spot lower than I did, but I still just believe in the other teams. It's not necessarily anything like I think Arizona sucks. Like it's not anything like that. It's just I like the other teams a little bit more.
Sure.
Yeah.
I see how it
Actually, it's because I hate Matt Dumba. He's the reason they never won around. Fucking losers.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the
like
same page. Like it's kind of like, and I'm not saying that they have as good of a prospect pool as Ottawa, but it's kind of like Ottawa, where it's like they'll be fun to watch. They got some good pieces, but they're just not there yet as far as the teams around them to be able to compete in the division. And they made good moves. They're going to be they're going to be more entertaining to watch for the fan base in Arizona this year, which is awesome. Because last year, I talked to some Arizona fans. We have some Arizona fans, and like halfway through the season, they're like, "This is a joke." Like with everything that went down with on and off the ice, and I feel like bringing in some players here that can actually help the team compete and whether they finish at the bottom of the standings or not, like it's just going to be a better product, which is important for this fan base right now, whose like interest level is probably pretty low given everything that's gone down.
Well, Z, the real
Like their
answer
interest
is
level is probably super high. I feel like they're very interested at this point. Like in Arizona, I feel like that fan base is probably very excited.
just not
Well,
the
but-
This is like
after
the most
these
fun
signings,
team they've had.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. After like that's why this season's going to be better because of these moves they made. Whereas like last year was horrendous. Like I said, we touched base with a few Arizona fans there, and they're like, we became apathetic halfway through the year. Whereas they didn't just continue with the same narrative of we're gonna keep trying to get an arena and we'll be good then. It's like, no, we're actually gonna make some moves here and try to be entertaining. Quickly before we move on, Urban, Sammy Walker making the roster before Rossi. Thoughts, Jessi?
No. They can't afford to bring him up either. I think his contract is too much. So I don't know that him and Adam Beckman, it's going to be tough just because they don't have the money. Not to mention, it's kind of make or break time for Marco Rossi. I mean, the Wild don't want to kind of have egg on their face, and I think they're going to try and make it work. Now that it has to at this point. Right now, I hate the line that they have him on with Kara and Foligno because, again, they are burying him down, doing nothing. I get the idea of having Foligno hit people to create space for Marco to do his thing, but ultimately, to answer that question, no. Sammy Walker, unfortunately, I don't love it. But again, if Marco isn't performing, I would not be surprised if you see a move made by Bill Guerin by November, because I think why not get the value you can from him while he's still semi-relevant instead of just putting him back down in Iowa, because that very well maybe he might be a great American Hockey League player, not NHL ready, but the kid put the work into. I mean, he looks bigger. He put the 15 pounds on. He did what they asked him. So I think Marco has to make this roster and has to make an impact immediately. Fortunately, Sammy.
Andrew, this is ludicrous, Andrew. This is ludicrous. Gun-toting granny. Stop looking at the cap with old balls.
I mean, the team's full of old balls, too, let's be honest.
I mean, we could theoretically trade Rossi to Toronto to get Reeves back.
Done.
Sure.
Let's do it. We need a captain according to Urban. I think this checks his box.
Rossi for Nyes would be fun.
Stop looking.
Yeah, let's do that.
Even though I think Rossi's going to be good this year, but
I'm not convinced. I haven't been convinced the past couple of years. I hate to say that, and I would not call him a bust. I'm not ready to say that, but I don't know. He's just not. He doesn't do it for me. But I haven't gotten the good look at him either because Dean hasn't put him with anybody that warrants him to do anything to show what he can do at the NHL level.
That's the thing. It's not like it's not his fault.
Yeah,
he's doing everything. He's been doing everything he was told to do. So.
Are there things that he can work on at the NHL level? Certainly, but is he being put in a position to
develop
and succeed? Not really.
Yeah. Yep, which is why this year is very important. Anything else that we want to cover for the Central, or should we move on?
I just love that we use the Thrashers logo instead of the whatever the hell the Winnipeg Jets are doing for their third jerseys this year.
That is insane. They designed that on Canva and moved on. Like they were just
they did it because someone has to be worse than the Wild's thirds. So,
oh
wow,
brutal.
Shots fired.
I did like how the Atlanta Thrashers account that still exists on X responded to that reveal and was like, "This was not the third jersey reveal we were hoping for."
Ah. That account's good, man. Every now and then, every now and then they come out with some bangers.
Yeah, they're still elite, even though their team no longer exists. We love them.
Poor Atlanta, they lost two teams: the Flames and the Thrashers.
And the Falcons have never.
Well, the NHL's like, we're gonna try that shit again.
Yeah, we're gonna.
They're like, it's gonna fucking work. Like they are making Atlanta hockey a thing. They really like. It's just
I love
the level of dedication is just unbelievable. They're like, nah, I know it didn't work the first two fucking times, but you know what? You try it again. You try it again. I mean,
third time's the charm.
Not because they didn't have the TNT studio covering hockey back then.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
that's like the leading argument. Like, well, that's where like they're headquartered. So yeah, why not have a team?
I mean, it should fucking work. Like soccer down there. Unbelievable. Like it immediately.
If they got an expansion or a relocation that was like an okay team, it's probably different.
I mean, they had like Kovalchuk put up 50 as a rookie. Like he immediately
and they still didn't make the playoffs.
They made the playoffs in 2007 and got slaughtered in 4 games by the Rangers. Like
back when the top
they should retire Chelios
division got in, and the division was just absolute trash. So they were like the 3rd seed when they probably shouldn't have even made the playoffs.
Unbelievable. But they're going back. It's going to work this time.
Do it again. Run it back.
I promise you, this time we're going to
They would have a chance, honestly, if it was expansion. Like, they'd have more of a chance of it if it is just with how favorable some of the rules are now for expansion teams. Like, I feel like that would give them the chance to be good early versus like just a relocation. Like if Arizona, but then again, I mean, also at the same time, pretty nice. Like if Arizona was to move, I don't think it's any secret that would be the one team that looks like a possible relocation eventually, but like also pretty nice group of young players to inherit, I guess. But yeah,
I mean,
that was like the only thing that in my head.
Team to grow the game before.
Yeah. Fuckers.